Coming up on the Inside Indiana Business Television podcast, Fort Wayne's mayor weighs in on Amazon's huge plans in the city. Hammond's digital Crossroad data center takes a big step forward. Benjamin Harrison's Indy home is set for a makeover. A New York pharmacy tech company comes to Indianapolis. We spotlight Purdue's Office of Industry Partnerships. IUPUI's new basketball coach outlines his vision, and our insiders take a look at the top stories of the week. Welcome to the Inside Indiana Business Television podcast. I'm Andy Ober. Amazon has announced plans to build its 10th Indiana Fulfillment Center in Fort Wayne, bringing nearly 1,000 jobs to the city. Mayor Tom Henry joined Inside Indiana Business host Gary Dick to talk about how the deal went down and to update other major projects in the Allen County city.
Well, let's talk about the Amazon deal. A big deal, nearly 1,000 jobs, certainly a competitive situation with other communities vying for that. What tilted the scales to Fort Wayne in Northeast Indiana?
Well, Gary, I think it's a situation where they were looking for a quality of place, a quality of life that would accommodate all of those who are going to be calling Fort Wayne home. I know a number of their new staff members will be drawn from our Fort Wayne population, but they're going to be bringing in some other staff members as well. And I think, a lot of what we had to offer in Fort Wayne, as far as I mentioned, quality of place, I think was very attractive to them.
Yep, we're going to talk about some additions you're making up there as well. But also, I'll call it infrastructure, your access to interstates. The airport there, Fort Wayne International Airport, has runways that can accommodate the big jets as well.
Correct. Some time ago, we made the investment to build runways that would accommodate 747s with a hope, a desire that we might be able to become a cargo hub someday, and that's essentially what's happening with Amazon. The newest plant, the newest fulfillment center that they built here in Fort Wayne is actually their third center in Fort Wayne. We have two out by the airport. This newest one obviously will be the largest, but I think that Amazon realized that our location in Northeast Indiana, our location in the Midwest, would really help them meet their distribution needs.
Yeah, I know it's going to be the first robotic-led facility for Amazon as well. But let's talk about a lot of things going on in Fort Wayne. In addition to Amazon, a huge win this week. But you've got riverfront development. You've got the Electric Works project, nearly $300 million project going on as well. Downtown development, construction, things going on even in the midst of the pandemic. What do you attribute that continued momentum and the ability to get projects done? What do you attribute that to?
Well, I think one of the real keys to our success or our momentum in Fort Wayne has been a long-range plan that involved a lot of the items that you just talked about. Now, Amazon, we didn't plan for that one. That one came up, and we obviously positioned ourselves to compete. Unfortunately, we were successful. But some of the other developments, Riverfront, we've been working on that for several years. We have phase one finished, and now we're beginning phase two. Electric Works, we've been working on that for 3 or 4 years. The new downtown headquarters for Star Financial Bank, we've been working on that for a while. So a lot of these were part of our strategic plan for downtown development. So we had already positioned ourselves financially and otherwise to keep these things moving. Now, unfortunately, the pandemic slowed down the process, but didn't kill the project. It just, it just slowed it down. So we're now just beginning to pick up our pace again. Yeah,
a lot of corporate support there. Ash Brokerage, Ruoff Mortgage, Sweetwater as well. Do It Best. The corporate community has really come in and partnered. I know on these. We're showing video of the Electric Works project there. So many ups and downs in any project like this. This is going to happen. It's quite a coup for Electric Works to happen. 3 years from now, what do you envision there?
Well, hopefully, if all goes well, and we have no reason to believe that it won't, it will be the new corporate headquarters for Do It Best. We're also building a food court in there to consist of not only some standard retail offerings, but also a farmers market operation as well. So they'll kind of all be combined in the same area. We've Parkview Health, one of our major healthcare systems, wants to put part of their operation in there as far as a neighborhood clinic. You mentioned Sweetwater, where they're going to have a part of that plant as well. So we have a number of organizations and other companies that have decided to at least offer part of their product offerings or service offerings in that campus. As you mentioned, it's about a $300 million investment, and that's just half of the former GE campus.
Yep.
We still have the other half to contend with down the road.
Yep.
But our goal right now is over the next, let's say 3 to 5 years,
Yep.
to fill that first base up and really make it a good entity to not only work in and play in, but also it'll help us eventually with our tax base, that's for sure.
Yep, the face of Fort Wayne changing dramatically, the impact on Northeast Indiana, and really even beyond that, substantial. Fort Wayne Mayor Tom Henry, thank you for joining us. As always, we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, Gary.
Tenants are starting to move into the old State Line generating plant in Hammond, which recently underwent a $40 million renovation to create the Digital Crossroads Data Center. Managing member Tom Dakich came on the show with a progress report.
This has been a project I know several years in the making. This is the old State Line generating plant there, which actually was a big polluter many years ago. You've transformed this into a data center. Give us a kind of a thumbnail description of what this data center is all about.
So at the start of our story is taking Northwest Indiana, and specifically this portion of it, from the old cloud to the new cloud. The State Line generating plant was actually founded by Thomas Edison himself. He literally had an office here with a guy named Samuel Insull, and they created Commonwealth Edison's largest plant ever. The problem with it is it was also the biggest polluter on the planet for a period of time, and certainly in the United States. So that legacy ended in 2012 when it became not possible to upgrade it with scrubbers, et cetera. And so we started shortly thereafter. It's a perfect location for a data center, and we're fortunate that we have a state leadership and local leadership that let us do it.
You mentioned location, you've access to water, which is important for data centers in Lake Michigan. You're in the Chicagoland area as well. And as we were talking off camera, Tom, you say this is not a typical data center.
No, this isn't a warehouse or a storage place. This is an independent, it's a mission critical, independent co-location data center, which is a fancy way of saying data is not stored here, although it is stored here, but the primary purpose of this is to literally create the connections that create the internet. So we're getting companies that are hyperscalers or enterprisers and security companies so far who are saying who connect together in order to create the internet, not just store data. Our story here, the reason this facility is such a good, and this piece of ground is so good, is because of the natural things that are inherent here. We're close to downtown Chicago. In fact, we're closer than the western suburbs. We have access to fiber because of the railroad. Fiber typically is under railroad tracks, and there's 9 railroad lines here. Plus, we have cooling water from Lake Michigan. Yeah. It's a unique facility in a state that is tax friendly.
Yeah, only have about 30 seconds, Tom, but I know Governor Holcomb, the legislature, really promoted big changes in the tax code and incentives, if you will, to compete for these data centers. In your view, can Indiana become a real hub or center for these types of centers?
If we don't, it's our own fault. We have the location. You want to be in the middle of things, and we're certainly in the middle of things. Our name is the Digital Crossroads of America because we're the crossroads of America in Indiana. So if we don't become successful in this, it certainly isn't because of anybody else's fault but our own. The IEDC has been fantastic, and it incents people left and right, and people are starting to pay attention to us.
All right, the Digital Crossroad Data Center in Northwest Indiana. Tom McDermott has called it transformational. Tom Dakich, I appreciate the time, and we look forward to doing some follow-ups in the months ahead.
Thank you very much for having me.
The St. Margaret's Hospital Guild Decorators Show House and Gardens in Indianapolis celebrates its 60th anniversary this year. Around Indiana, reporter Mary Rachel Redmond caught up with one of the original founders of the event, which showcases Hoosier architecture and raises money for Eskenazi Health.
Lucky number 60. What do you think?
Unbelievable.
When you meet her,
The stairway is spectacular.
yes, you know she's special.
Those darling old pictures.
A true original in every sense of the word.
She's an angel in our eyes.
Desi Partheimer Cook is 90 years young.
Life has been great. I'm lucky to be living in an era where the doctors can put you back together again. And I work out, and I have a bench, and I have weights.
And strength is perhaps the constant that defines her.
She was the individual who brought this idea to this organization.
Desi initially spearheaded the concept while living in the hills of San Francisco.
So we called on the decorators in San Francisco. They agreed, and so that was the first decorated show house to the country.
But in 1961, Desi and her family made the move to Indianapolis.
My husband's friends from IU were married to women who were in St. Margaret's Guild, and they invited me to join. And they needed a project. And I said, wow, I've got a great idea.
That idea? Replicating what she started in California.
At the time, the biggest way to raise money was to have a fashion show, which either Blocks or Ayers did, and then a Christmas dance. And the most you ever made for both projects combined was around $4,000.
And it would become an immediate success in its 1962 debut.
We made more than we'd ever made before.
Inspiring generations of Hoosier homeowners and wannabe designers.
You can dress it down or you certainly dress it up. It's just beautiful.
Raising more money than St. Margaret's Hospital Guild could have ever imagined.
We didn't realize the impact that this show house could have on this community. And out of the $13.5 million that we have raised for Eskenazi Health, 12.8 have come from this show house. I think that's pretty remarkable. And it gives me chills when I think about this idea that started in 1962 and where we are today.
Well, at my age, you kind of think of your legacy every now and then. I'm thrilled that we were able to commit enough money to Wishart Hospital, which became Eskenazi, to fund many, many things for women.
This initiative is really to make sure that they can become the best nurses in the state of Indiana, if not the country.
Did you ever think it would go this long?
Probably not. I couldn't imagine anything going this long, so I'm thrilled to death.
Mary Rachel Redmond, Inside Indiana Business.
Benjamin Harrison, the nation's 23rd president, called Indiana home when he moved here from Ohio in the 1850s. His Indianapolis home is about to undergo a $6 million renovation that will turn it into a signature gathering place. Benjamin Harrison Presidential Site CEO Charles Hyde has details on the Old Glory, New Vision campaign.
Big campaign, $6 million campaign. Before we get into that, give us a thumbnail description for those who don't know about the Benjamin Harrison presidential site. A lot of people say it packs more information, more data, more stuff, if you will, into the size of much larger museums. Talk about what it's all about.
So it is the National Historic Landmark home of America's Hoosier president. So Benjamin Harrison, 23rd president of the United States. So we have a nationally significant collection of over 10,000 artifacts. As you say, right in that 10,000 square foot structure, and we sit on about 2.5 acres, right at the crossroads of Indianapolis and central Indiana. Yeah,
it's a beautiful, beautiful home. How do you envision this campaign? I know there's some maintenance and things that are associated with the $6 million, but you really look at this as a transformative campaign to really change the look and the feel of this presidential site and really to attract more people.
Well, as you say, we're stewards of this National Historic Landmark, so preservation certainly is important as we factored the priorities for the $6 million campaign. So there'll be important preservation work going on to the exterior of the house and within the historic structure itself. But we're really excited about the enhancements that we'll be able to make for educational purposes. We serve over 17,000 school children a year and over 30,000 total visitors. And as one of the, routinely rated as one of the top 5 things to do in Indianapolis by TripAdvisor, it just gives us a tremendous opportunity to be able to elevate the profile of the presidential site itself, inside and out. So we've thought about it, much as we've worked so hard to professionalize the inside of the museum with the wide array of education and engagement programs that we have, reaching out to our broad and diverse community. This will help us elevate the outside of the museum and really thinking about, with the 17,000 cars that drive up Delaware Street each day, making sure that they're aware that this locally relevant but nationally significant resource is available to them. And again, with 170,000 cars a day driving across 6570 here at the Crossroads, it's just all the more important that we'll be able to demonstrate our presence and make sure that it's apparent that we're open and ready to help serve.
Yeah, Charlie, we only have 30 seconds. We're looking at some renderings on the screen right now. Give us a sneak peek at what, folks driving up Delaware or on 65, what they're going to see ultimately with these changes and enhancements.
Well, you'll have the Johnson Floyd Family Presidential Commons, so that will be a great gateway to the presidential site itself. We'll have a neighborway component that will reconnect the neighborhood and allow pedestrian and bicycle access east-west, restoring that connectivity that had been impacted through the construction of the interstate 50 years ago. You'll have the Presidential Promenade, Citizenship Plaza, all these elements that really help elevate this story of America's future president.
Exciting project. Charlie Hyde, the CEO at the Benjamin Harrison Presidential Site, will be following this story. Charlie, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much, Gary. Have a good day.
All right.
Remember, you can catch Inside Indiana Business Television on stations throughout the state every weekend. Head to InsideIndianaBusiness.com to check listings. New York-based pharmacy automation solutions company IA is celebrating the opening of its new global headquarters in Indianapolis. The facility is expected to add 420 jobs by the end of 2023. CEO Marvin Richardson joined Kylie Valletta in the business of health.
Let's start with a quick introduction to your company. Tell us just a little bit about IA and how you want to fundamentally change the practice of pharmacy.
Sure, happy to do that. So we're a leading technology provider, and we provide prescription fulfillment solutions, and they're driven by our proprietary software called Symphony. So, we build systems as small as one that would fill 500 prescriptions a day, all the way up to our largest, which is in Charleston for the VA, that's 250,000 a day. So we do that. We're trying to unleash the full potential of pharmacy for our customers. I'm a pharmacist by training. I can tell you that pharmacists today are inundated because they've got paperwork, they've got prescriptions they're filling. On top of that, now they have COVID testing. COVID vaccinations are rolling out across the country, and they need time to patient face. They do not need time to fill prescriptions. Those can be filled centrally in our centralized fulfillment centers. That takes work off of their plate, so they can, spend time with patients, which is exactly what they went to school to do.
So you mentioned your company makes some of the hardware, but the really big focus for IA is the software. And that is part of the reason that really led your company to choose Indianapolis for its global headquarters. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So, Indianapolis was really a natural choice for us. I'm a born and bred Hoosier, but we didn't choose with our heart, we chose with our head. And it's a centralized location for us. It's easier to get to our customers. It's a bigger airport. Working with Governor Holcomb and his team, working with Mayor Hogsett and his team has been incredible. The Indiana economy is vibrant, and we have a great opportunity to build a very vast and diverse pool of talent, particularly in software technology, engineering, pharmacy, and customer service. And we're hiring people into the city. People are moving here, and we're hiring native Hoosiers that live in the Indianapolis area as well. So excited about that. The talent we're seeing so far, and the response we've gotten to the announcement has been incredible.
I think this is really interesting. Your largest client is Publix, which a lot of Hoosiers are familiar with when they head south for vacation. Explain how your technology helped Publix become what you say is the third largest vaccinator in the U.S. right now.
Yeah, it's really incredible. They have 750 locations in the state of Florida, and they are third behind CVS and Walgreens, who have 8,000 each. They're able to do that because they're taking a large percentage of the refills that would normally be done in a retail store, in a public store. Those are being filled centrally in Orlando, Florida. They're trucked back overnight to the store, to the Publix pharmacy, so that the patient can pick them up the next day. That work coming out of the store has enabled them to vaccinate more frequently. They have not added any incremental labor, pharmacy technicians or pharmacists, to that, because they have the time to patient face at Publix today. So it's an incredible success story for them, an incredible success story for us.
Yeah, in just a few seconds left, you said they're the best central fill pharmacy model in the U.S., which is also the fastest growing part of your business right now.
It is. Central fill is growing, for the very reason that we've got to take, pharmacist labor out of the store. My daughter's a pharmacist. My daughter-in-law is a pharmacist. I hear their pain points every day that, it is difficult to find the time to patient face, to counsel patients, to vaccinate patients, to test patients when they're filling, 60 or 70% of the work is in the store that could be removed by one of our central fills.
All right, Marvin. Well, best of luck with the new endeavor. We're out of time. Thanks for being on the show today.
All right. Thanks so much, Kylie.
Purdue continues its efforts to blaze a trail for businesses and corporations through its Office of Industry Partnerships. Vice President Nathan Utz says the office is bringing more than $100 million a year into Indiana's economy. He joined us in our Eye on Education segment.
Well, let's talk about this, the Office of Industry Partnerships, because it's really a new model. And instead of kind of a disjointed effort to connect and engage with business, this is really a kind of, I guess, a more holistic approach, a one-stop shop, if you will. Give us the business model, if you will, for the office.
Sure. So our office is designed and dedicated to be that first and that front door to industry engagement here at Purdue University. Historically, that function was decentralized, which led to unorganization and really just not being able to capitalize on opportunities. So, President Daniels saw the opportunity to improve and enhance that operation, and hence that became the birth of the Office of Industry Partnerships.
We'll talk about how it works, because I think it's really interesting. You're relatively new, or you came to the university from Notre Dame in December, and the office itself is new. And you really have engaged already with companies like Schweitzer Engineering, Rolls-Royce, Saab, among others. How does the partnership and this engagement with companies like this and future companies, how does it work?
Sure. We've got a really great and deep bench of existing companies that already engage here, Gary, but holistic engagement begins with engaging with our great and talented students and our faculty around sponsored research, but then it moves down the line towards commercialization and intellectual property. We've got really good opportunities with Purdue Online and Purdue Global with respect to professional development and upskilling. And ultimately, it ends with placemaking and economic development. President Daniels and one of his biggest and top priorities is bringing more companies to Indiana and West Lafayette, and that's a top priority of our office as well.
And the impact ultimately is positive for the company, for the university, but also for the student. Big impact potentially for the student as well.
Absolutely. Industry engagement. A lot of our kids are going out and taking great jobs around the country and doing great things. And industry is the key to that. For us, it's all about building out long-lasting, mutually beneficial partnerships. And when you talk about industry engagement, it has to start with the company first and foremost, right? They are for profit, so we have to make sure that we're providing an experience that is good for them. But obviously, we're here to further the mission of Purdue, which is all about the students and the faculty.
I know you're located in the Convergence Center in the Discovery Park District, which is just transforming that front door, if you will, to Purdue. It would seem that the synergy with everything going on with all of the work and changes on campus fits right in with this whole concept in the Office of Industry Partnerships.
Yes, sir. We cannot wait for this pandemic to be over, because this building is just going to be an amazing ecosystem for industry and for students. We've got many academic units planning on moving in here. Our office is here. So this is, as you say, quite literally and figuratively, the front door for industry engagement here at Purdue University. So.
Yeah, and very quickly, Nathan, we're about out of time here, but you don't want to leave out the impact potential on economic development in the region. I mean, impacting the Lafayette area and that whole 10, 12 county region.
Absolutely. Again, a key and top priority of President Daniels is all about bringing more companies to Indiana and to West Lafayette in the region.
All right. Nathan Utz is the Vice President at the Office of Industry Partnerships at Purdue. Nathan, great to see you virtually here, if you will, and I look forward to coming up and paying you a visit before too long.
Thanks for having me. Have a great day.
IUPUI found its new men's basketball head coach within its own program. Former player and longtime assistant coach Matt Crenshaw says he plans to take the program to the next level. He spoke with Bill Benner on Inside Indiana Sports.
Welcome, and welcome back home to IUPUI.
Bill, thank you. I'm excited about this opportunity. It's great to be back. IUPUI, as we know, is home for me, and it's where I got to start in this business. And the community, the city of Indianapolis, has been great.
Well, Matt, the last 3 years you've been at Ball State, but you've been in coaching, I think, at least 15 years as an assistant. Talk about that transition from being one seat down to the bench to that other, the hot seat.
The hot seat. Well, what I'd say, Bill, is this. Initially, when I got in, I just wanted to impact young men. I knew I wanted to be a coach since the 10th or 11th grade because of the impact that my high school coaches had on me with Coach Billy Gillespie, Coach Dembo, Coach Crawford, Coach Manley. These guys down in Texas, with my parents being in the military, moved around a little bit, and they had a tremendous impact on my life. And from there, I knew I wanted to coach, volunteered a year, and was around Coach Hunter. I'm always thankful for him for giving me this opportunity to get into college coaching. And he kind of talked to me about being a head coach, probably my third year in. And from that point, that was something that I've always thought about, being a head coach and moving to the hot seat, as you'd say. So over those years, I just prepared myself, and I'm ready for the next step.
Matt, how do you get this program going? Again, you're sitting right here in the cradle of basketball. That's the good news. The bad news is that everybody else, other coaches, programs, know this is the cradle of basketball. There's a lot of talent here. How do you get this program going?
Well, simply and plain, you hit it on the head. The cradle of basketball, the state of Indiana is known for basketball, okay? We're going to recruit the city of Indianapolis inside 465, and then the state of Indiana at the highest level. That's when IUPUI was at a success, was able to retain, to get those young student athletes to come and choose IUPUI. And that's what we're going to do. Inside out approach, looking for the best student athletes that we're able to attract.
As a coach and an assistant at Ball State, you focused on defense. Obviously, at IUPUI as a player, all-time assist leader, so that had something to do with offense. What kind of style do you want your Jaguars to play?
Well, what I'd say right now is we're going to be a defensive-minded team, tough, together, gritty, unselfish. From the offensive standpoint, I don't have all the pieces in place yet. And so what I'd say is we're going to want to try to play fast, but you're going to see a four-guard offense for me with the forward/center. We're going to try to score early in the offense, and we're going to play unselfish. As far as the little nuances and the details, I don't have that yet until I get the roster completed.
Matt, less than a minute as we wrap up here. IUPUI playing its games in the iconic Fairgrounds Coliseum, got great exposure during the recent NCAA March Madness. You moved into the team moved, and the school moved into the Horizon League a couple of seasons ago. So you got some things going for you, obviously from a home court advantage and being in the Horizon League.
For sure. IUPUI moving to the Horizon League, it made it where you could really recruit, again, the city and the state. Families able to see them play not only the home games, but most of the games in the Horizon League are only 4 hours away. So we're going to recruit the state at a high level. We're looking for highly competitive, high character student athletes. We're excited about the program and where we're going to go. And you mentioned the Farmers Coliseum, great facility. It was shown, during March Madness, and we have a great venue to play. But we're excited about the future and the things that are to come.
Well, Matt, we certainly welcome you again back home to IUPUI, and we wish you the best of luck going forward. Matt Crenshaw, the new coach of the IUPUI Jaguars, congratulations, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
And finally, our panel of insiders takes on the top stories of the week, like a new state budget, Amazon's big plans, and fans at this year's Indianapolis 500. This week's panel includes Katz Corin Cunningham attorney Norris Cunningham, Hallowell Consulting President Jennifer Hallowell, and Vox Global Managing Director Mike Marker.
Well, let's start with the new state budget. And Jennifer, I'll throw it to you first. A big budget, $37.4 billion, that had some real bipartisan support.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Governor Holcomb called this transformational, and it really is in so many different ways. We could do a whole show on the major investments that it makes. But what I think really surprised a lot of people today was the bipartisan nature of it. The vote in the House was 96-2, and the two who voted against are actually right-wing Republicans, and the Senate vote was 46-3. So garnered a lot of Democrat support, I would say probably in large part because of the incredible funding of K through 12 education. But one of the other things that's really big is this new $500 million for a regional economic acceleration and development initiative, which is, if you think about probably 5 years ago, the Regional Cities Initiative, which was transformational for many communities, this is 6 times larger than that.
Yep. Let's pick out a lot of elements, obviously, in the budget. Norris, I know you were really pleased to see a big chunk of money for rural broadband.
That's exactly right, Gary. I think each time I've been on your show, I've talked about the need for expansion of broadband in rural areas. In 2018, the state made a sizable, what at the time was supposed to be a one-time expense toward or funding for broadband. And now they're matching that in this biennial budget, $100 million in the biennial budget for expansion of broadband in rural areas. And that'll increase broadband in about 41 counties in the state over that period of time, I believe, and something like 22,000 homes.
Yep.
The pandemic has made really clear the importance of access to broadband. And so this is a really big step that, quite frankly, is in keeping with what's been done with the education budget as well.
Yep. Mike, I know you like to see the teacher pay element in the budget.
Yeah, I'm excited about a number of things in the budget. And I shared Jennifer's comment about it's great to see such strong bipartisan support on this. I'm the son of retired public school teachers from Fort Wayne. So when I look at teacher pay and the increases coming there, we can certainly say it's long overdue. It's probably not enough, but it's a really positive step in the right direction. The state's taken some good action here. The locals will need to follow through on it. But I'm excited to see that investment in our teachers.
Pamela Whitten selected as IU's next president. She comes to IU from Kennesaw State University in Georgia. Norris, your take on this, the first female president in IU history. Your thoughts on the selection?
Obviously, it's historic, and is I think it positions IU well. She's certainly very accomplished, having been the president at Kennesaw State in Georgia, which is the second largest university in the state of Georgia. So, but from a diversity perspective, Gary, this is a very big and very important step that IU has taken. DePaul has taken the same step, naming an African American female president. The McKinney Law School here in Indy now has an African American female dean. So these are very, very big steps, big moves in the right direction from a diversity standpoint. And so it really should be celebrated by us all.
Mike, you're from Fort Wayne. Amazon picks Fort Wayne for a 1,000-job fulfillment center. But that's on top of so many projects in downtown, riverfront development, the Electric Works project, new corporate headquarters in downtown Fort Wayne. What are they doing to make all this happen?
You know, Fort Wayne is really on a roll. And I think up there it has to do with a lot of collaboration that's going on. A lot of people rowing in the same direction, looking at bringing talent into that part of the state, not just Fort Wayne, but Northwest Indiana as well. So they have a lot of leaders, a lot of officials, a lot of community folks just working towards what do we need to do on any number of fronts, whether it's lifestyle, things like Electric Works, it's going to be a wonderful talent generator, lifestyle projects, and certainly Amazon coming in. I mean, they've had a strong and steady march in Indiana, right? They have. They said they've invested now $20 billion over the last 10 years, some 20,000 jobs. Great to see a number of those coming to Fort Wayne, and it'll continue the momentum going on in that part of the state. Yeah,
Jennifer, I'll throw it to you on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. A big announcement this week, 40% capacity, up to 40% of fans, so about 135,000 fans for the race next month. Your take on that, that's a big number, would be the biggest sporting event to be held since the pandemic began.
I'm very excited about it, and I will definitely be one of the people there. We renewed our block, and you know, it really is just fitting that Indianapolis would be hosting this large event. You know, we just came off of an incredibly successful March Madness tournament and kind of proved that we can do things and do them right. And I think that IMS and the teams there have worked really hard on a plan that will be successful. And I think a lot of people are excited to be back at the track and enjoy, you know, one of our kind of most special events.
Yeah, indeed. Go ahead, Norris. Very quickly, Norris.
Well, I was just going to say, I think it's very good, and I think it's certainly a step in the right direction. It is going to concern people to have a crowd that large when we are still in the midst of the pandemic. We've got about 1.8 million Hoosiers, I think, something like that, fully vaccinated at this point. That number will grow. But it is concerning for some to have a crowd that large, even outdoors at this point.
All right. We'll see how that rolls out. Norris Cunningham, Jennifer Hollowell, and Mike Marker. Great perspective. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon.
That wraps up this week's Inside Indiana Business Television podcast. Remember, you can find all of this week's TV segments, as well as the top business news from throughout the state at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. While you're there, you can also subscribe to our platform of free e-newsletters. This is Andy Ober for Inside Indiana Business.